Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Narayana. Hari Om and good evening from Ann Arbor, Michigan, for those who don't know where Ann Arbor is. Every year, we have annual Seva training in many of our Chinmay Mission centers. And the focus is the vision on how to serve one's community, one's city. Part of this Seva training focuses on Balavihar teachers. And a consistent message that we offer every year is that if a student asks you a question and you don't know the answer to that question, don't make up an answer. Because if you make up that answer, that student is going to find out. They're probably better with technology than you are. And then anything you say from then onwards, there's not going to be a level of faith or belief in what you say. And so the training shares that if you don't know the answer, admit that you don't know the answer. Share that you'll do some research to find out. This is natural, maybe even easy in a Balavihar setting, in a Sunday sadhana setting. But our ego never wants to admit it's wrong, isn't it? We will keep on making justifications and excuses. We will keep blaming and escaping. But for the ego to admit that it doesn't know, that is a great feat. It requires great courage. Since we're not used to admitting that we don't know, we play a game of vikshepa. We project this, we project that. And the more we project, the heavier our lives become. Because you have to carry those projections. This is why on Deepavali is known as the Festival of Lights. During this Utsava, one is to feel that light in their heart. The Upanishads talk about the cave of the heart, or the heart cave. That's where you're supposed to feel that light. That light is deeper than the ego. It's deeper than not knowing. And how do you know if you're celebrating Deepavali? How do you know if you're invoking that light? You begin to feel light-hearted. A light-hearted person is one who's beginning to have the Bodha, the knowledge of their Atma, what is closest to them. Bodha, the knowledge of Ananda, of joy. We are now in class 9, and you should ask yourself, over the last 2.5 months, are you feeling more lighthearted? I hope so. That's real efficiency. Our idea of efficiency is always on the surface. Faster showers, faster microwaves, faster cars, faster posting of jobs and hiring of people. But real efficiency is not at the surface, It's deeper. It's feeling lighthearted. It is feeling the light in one's heart. Last week we studied Shloka 12, which focused on this gross body, the body that we're looking at in our computers right now. And this gross body is made up of the elements, and when the energy from this body is pulled away, when the subtle body moves on, the elements that form this body will go back to their more natural state. No? When Vivek dies, all of the fire or the heat in my body will go away. I will become cold. The air in my lungs will collapse. The air will go back to the general air. I believe there's a saying in the Bible or in Christianity that ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We come from the ashes, we go back to the ashes. We are made of dust, we will return to dust. And so the sutra for Shloka 12 was, watch what you wish for. Because our thoughts are determining our body. Watch what you wish for. And at a very relative level, if you think you're handsome, don't you feel more handsome? If you believe that you're ugly, don't you feel it start to look like it also? In Shloka 13, we began our focus of the subtle body. The subtle body is that which energizes the gross body, gives meaning to the gross body. Taking up what the gross body and subtle body are together, the gross body, that is the food sheath, the focus of that is interacting. Without this body, how would I interact with you? Interacting. The sheath beneath that is called the pranamaya kosha, or the breath sheath. This breath sheath is always inputting. It keeps on inputting oxygen, keeps on inputting food. And here's where the subtle body begins with the breath sheath. Deeper than that is the manomaya kosha, or the mind sheath. And what the mind is ever engaged in is interpreting. As I'm speaking and this is being inputted to you through the sense organs, and your mind is interpreting, what does he mean by this? Is this truthful? Is this relevant? And deeper than that is the vijnanamaya kosha, or the intellectual sheath, the intellect sheath. And the intellect is ever instructing. Let's plan for the future. Let's do this. I have to engage in that. So the gross body has one eye, that is interacting. The subtle body has three eyes, inputting, interpreting, and instructing. And I'll tell you about the last eye, but the sutra for Shloka 13 was, the subjective is an object. The subjective is an object. The same elements that made up this gross body are the same elements that make up the subtle body. The same elements that make up the hardware. If you look into the software of a computer, it's really the same materials, just formed differently. And finally, we took up Shloka 14. And the message here is about the causal body. What caused the subtle body? This is the fifth eye, which is the ego, the anandamaya kosha, the ahankara sheath. That eye is identifying. The ego is identifying with the body, breath, mind, intellect. The ego actually does nothing, has no intrinsic function other than to identify. And this too is made up of the elements. A Sanskrit word for the elements is tat matra. Matra means simply. Tat means infinity, divinity, that. All of these bodies are simply infinity if one has knowledge. Without knowledge, I think that the mind is very different than the body. The ego is a unique entity to itself. The causal body is like the genetics of a plant. The subtle body is like the health of a plant. And the gross body is like the appearance of a plant. Vyasa, Sheila, and I are on a 20-day road trip right now. We did 5 days in Pittsburgh, 5 days in Cleveland. Now we're in Ann Arbor for 5 days. And you get to see so much of farmland. And when you look at those stalks of corn, of wheat, you can, with this knowledge, can feel the causal body, subtle body, gross body. Try to do the same with yourself. And if you can, the sutra for Shloka 14 is not this, this, and this. Not this body, not this mind, and this, meaning the ego. Okay? Many questions that arise relate to the relationship between the objective and the subjective, specifically in the workplace. If I'm a supervisor and I have a subordinate who I have to judge, they're doing this right, they're doing this wrong. If I'm a TA, if I'm a professor, if my field requires me to judge people, their performance, even parents with kids, realize that there shouldn't be any subjectivity in that. It should all be objective. And that's why with exams, they don't put people's names there now. They put a number there. What is your student ID? And nobody knows what your student ID is, hopefully. So they can be more objective. You don't allow that subjective ego and mind to affect the objective. That's how we should treat these bodies, objectively. Okay? We go on to Shloka 15, where Acharya Shankara, he's elaborated on these 3 bodies in 12, 13, 14, and he's doing the same, but he's using different terminology in Shloka 15. And the reason for that is that if you have many views, there'll be more clarity. Everyone's seen movies where they look at diamonds, right? When they look at a diamond, do they only look at it from far away? They bring it closer, they spin the diamond around, they put one of those lenses on to look even more carefully. So the same is being done by Acharya Shankara. We're taking who we believe we are and looking at this from multiple views, darshanas, so that we are clear about who we are and who we are not. Please repeat after me. We're on Shloka 15. Panchakoshadi yogena tattanmaya ivastitaha tattanmaya ivastitaha Shuddhatma nila vastradi Yogena spatiko yatha Together. Panchakoshadi yogena tattanmaya ivastitaha Shuddhatma nila vastradi Yogena spatiko yatha. Acharya Shankara shares in the first quarter, Panchakosha Adi. Adi means etc. The 5 sheets, etc. What is being done with them? Yoga. We are united with them. We are connected with them. We are identified with them. In Shlokas 12, 13, 14, we studied the 3 bodies, yes? In Shloka 15, now what's being brought up is the 5 sheaths, which I already mentioned to you. The sheath means that which is maya, which is covering us. So the 5 sheaths. And there's one more way that is traditionally used to analyze who we are, and that is the avastas, or the 3 states. The waking state, the dream state, the sleep state, that will come. Whether the view is of the bodies or the sheets or the states, what is united, what is uniform about these forms of analysis? The word for body is sharira. Sharira means that which is forever changing. These sheets between the body and the breath, they're not so black and white. between the mind and intellect is not so delineated, these are changing too. The word avastha literally means that which comes and goes. In other words, it doesn't matter how you look at yourself, who you believe you are today, it is temporary. And that's why I'm using the word it. It is temporary. When I say it, bring me it, right now it's referring to the couch. Bring me it, I need that power bar over there. It's temporary. In the second quarter, Acharya Shankara says, Tat tanmaya ivas stitaha. Tat means divine, like tattvamasi. Tanmaya, that is what is nearby. What is nearby, filled by that which is nearby, as if stitaha is of the same nature. Sounds very technical. I'll make this more simple. Where there is closeness, what tends to happen is sameness. Where there's closeness, there is sameness. As an example, if someone has brown skin, or someone who is not a thinker, that closeness, they have that brown skin, so they must be people of Indian origin, right? And we call out such racism. All of our parents are racist to a certain extent, yes? And we always call them out on that. That closeness doesn't necessarily mean sameness. It can, but it's not definitive that closeness should lead to sameness. Yes, everyone's feeling me? It's a form of, we experience it as racism. Here, Acharya Shankara is trying to bring to our attention that we should also call out this generalization that just because we are close to a certain equipment, that we are that equipment. The life principle is close to the ego, but that doesn't mean that the life principle is the ego. The life principle is illuminating the mind, but that doesn't mean the life principle is the mind. So if you're calling out your parents for being racist, Acharya Shankara is calling us out for generalizing. And this is actually much more severe and dangerous than even racism, and we already know how rough that can be. Who are we in the third quarter? Shuddha Atma. We are the Atma, which is the self. And this self is Shuddha. It is not affected by the change of it. It is the bodies, it is the sheaths, it is the states. Shuddha Atma. Our idea of Atma can be different. My Atma is my body, my mind, but Shuddha Atma means that which is not subject to these changes. And this is experienced as existence awareness. Existence is I. That feeling of I, that feeling of existing is Shuddhatma. And awareness is expressed as know. I know I'm smart. I know I'm dumb. That knowingness is that chit, that awareness. You cannot deny your existence. You cannot deny your awareness. If you're denying your existence, you have to be there, no? If you're denying awareness, with what are you denying awareness? That's Shuddhatma. And finally, in the last quarter, what Acharya Shankara shares here is he's bringing in the third quarter to Nila Vastra Adi. Nila means blue. Vastra means cloth, etc. So a blue cloth, a red cloth, or a blue piece of paper, a green piece of paper. Yogena, when that's close to a spatika. What does spatika mean? A crystal. We tend to have spatika lingas, a shivalinga that's made up of crystal. What color is a crystal? A pure crystal? What color? You can't even say white, correct? It is clear, it is colorless. But when I have that crystal and it's on a blue cloth, and I look at that crystal from afar, what color is that crystal? It's blue, right? But is the crystal actually blue? from far away, from an ignorant perspective, that closeness has created sameness. But when you come closer, when you pay attention with knowledge, that crystal didn't take up that color. Here is your sutra for the 15th shloka. You now have 14 sutras after I give you this one. The sutra is, association determines limitation. Association determines limitation. If you spend time with a group of people, your friends, and they're always late, but you're not, you're punctual. But when you're seen with them and someone is describing that group, don't you get included too? Your association with those tardy people, that person's so tardy, right? And if I can take a very extreme and sad circumstance about association leads to limitation, I get to go to Flint, Michigan every year. It's actually our first Chinmay Mission Center outside of Piercy in California is in Flint, Michigan. And I was reading the newspaper where there was 2 teenagers that picked up a 6-pound rock and dropped it off an overpass on the highway beneath. And the speed limit generally in Michigan is 70 miles an hour, so people are doing 75, 80 miles an hour. And that rock is 6 pounds from an overpass, which you put at, say, 18 feet, 20 feet. When it landed on that windshield, it immediately crushed that driver's head and chest, and that person died. And so these 2 boys, they're the ones who picked up the rock and dropped it, but there's 3 friends with them. And all of them are being charged for attempted murder, second-degree murder. I don't know the legal terminology, but my point is 3 of them were just there. And now they're also going to be put in prison like the 2 who actually committed the crime. Association determines limitation. If you want to know the practicality of this, be careful of who your friends are. Now that we're all very sad, we'll be reminded of the first shloka of Atma Bodha without looking at the first shloka. I see all of you quickly paging to the first shloka. What is the first word of Atma Bodha? What was the first word? We spent a great deal of time on this. You can't be wrong because I can't hear you. Tapa. The first word is tapa. And tapa means to be disciplined. Tapa means to expand one's comfort zone. Tapa means to burn. And Puja Swami Tejomayananda says, we have these ideas of tapa, of standing in cold water, sleeping on the floor, not eating salt. He says, the most important tapa is right thinking. Right thinking. It's much easier not to eat salt than to think in a right way. And that comes out in this 16th shloka. 12, 13, 14, these are the bodies. 15, this is the sheath. But what am I supposed to do with this? We should engage in right thinking. Please repeat. Vapustushadibih koshaihi. Vapustushadibih koshaihi. Yuktam yuktyavagataha. Yuktam yuktyavagataha. Atmanam antaram shuddham. Antaram shuddham. Vivichya tandulam yatha. Vivichya tandulam yatha. Together. Vapustushadibih koshaihi. Yuktam yuktyavagataha. Atmanam antaram shuddham. Vivichya tandulam yatha. Acharya Shankara says in the first line, Vapuhu. Vapuhu means body. Tushadibhi koshaihi. This body is covered, kosha, in the same way that husk covers. What does husk cover? Remember, Bharat is traditionally an agricultural country. Even now it is. So you're thinking husk. I know husky. It's a gas station. A husk is that which covers rice. Okay? So this body is covered like there's a covering on rice. So bringing this to a more relative level. I was in someone's home and they had a free sample of makeup remover. And what this makeup remover had shared, this is the slogan of this small packet was, dissolve the drama. What a catchy slogan for makeup remover, dissolve the drama. And I feel that Atma Bodha is dissolving the drama. That we go about thinking, oh, I have a wrinkle. We go about thinking I have white hair, I'm gaining weight, or my mind is stressed, or whatever it is, but dissolve all that drama. This is just a covering. So Halloween was on Tuesday, and I was thinking about coverings. If I can generalize, you know where you have to put on more of a cover? So Halloween, you're a spy, or whatever it may be, those tend to be sort of shady, isn't it? Like Halloween's a shady celebration. It's not like President's Day or Thanksgiving. Or if you're a spy, you have to be shady. You can't tell everyone what you're doing. So the more covering you have, really the more shady you are. So here, dissolve the drama. Stop being shady. Start being simple. Everyone's name is Arjuna. Arjuna means Arjavam. Yuktam yuktya avagatataha. This body, which is really a covering, we are yukta. We are connected to that, but we have to avagatataha. We need to disassociate with that. And what the technical meaning of this word is, how many of you have ever been to a rice field? Anyone? Rice field? When that rice grows on those stalks, you pull it out of that small amount of water, when you lift it out, and there's rice that's growing on those stalks. How do you get that rice off? You just start hitting it against a piece of rock, against a wall, like you dust out your car mats or a carpet. You just hit it, and the stuff you don't want falls off. In this case, the stuff you do want, you keep. For us, this association with limitation, we have to dust off, break apart from that limitation through yuktya. Yuktya here means right thinking. Okay? This word yukta, in the second quarter, the first yukta is not a positive, it's a negative. That we're connected to that which is limited. But the second yukta is positive. This is how we get out of that connection. And I'm emphasizing this because you have to know what these words mean in a specific context, isn't it? When we say yoga, everyone takes this to be in their own way. And that's why it's important to have a guide to tell you what this word means in a certain context. Humans are known as yoga yonis. What does yoni mean? Embodiment, manifestation, womb. We've come from a place where we can engage in yoga. Yoga means to unite ourselves to become better, or to unite ourselves with the lower and fall. And that's why what's emphasized here is we're ever engaged in yoga, but it's tended to make us smaller. Now we have to engage in yoga that's going to make us bigger. It's going to make us infinite. So yoga, yuktya, yukti. Yukti means rationale. Yukti means logic. Yukti means manana. So how am I going to separate myself from that limitation of the body, the mind, and the ego? Through manana. This is what Acharya Shankara is saying in such a simple, familiar example. He continues in the third quarter, Atmanam antaram shuddham. He's saying that Atma that is inside. Again, choice words, because I can think the Atma is the body. But he's saying that Atma that's inside is Shuddha. He's unaffected by whatever we believe is us right now. Opening this up. Mother Sita, did she get kidnapped or not? Did Mother Sita in Ramayana get kidnapped or not? If you're thinking logically, the fact that I'm asking the question obviously implies that she didn't, correct? Every other Indian serial on TV will say Mother Sita got kidnapped, but if I'm asking you that, then that means she never did. Mother Sita and Bhagwan Rama knew that Ravana was going to come and take Mother Sita. So she entered into a fire, into Agni, and a disguise, a incognito Maya Mother Sita came out. That's who Ravana kidnapped. If you ever watch any of the Oceans movies, 11, 12, 13, there's always some sleight of hand where someone is taking something that is not real. And who's most frustrated in that? The person who took what's not real. Bhagwan Rama's tears were just for us to relate to. For him, it was really outside drama, inside drama. For him, it was literal. And so why I'm sharing this is that I can feel that this person said this to me. This is happening to me. I now feel like my nature is to be dejected, to be despondent, perhaps. But at the deepest level of you, you are still Shuddha. You are still balanced. Too many of us feel that, nature, life is making me imbalanced. This is just how I am now. But it's not. You are balanced. In oneness, there actually is no imbalance. It's impossible. He completes this shloka. Vivichya tandulam yatha. Yatha means like tandulam, like rice. You have to connect that to the first quarter. Like rice is hit against a stone to remove the husk, we have to engage in vivichyat, vishesha, vichara. Vich means to filter, to discriminate. And that prefix vi means intensely, constantly. Vivichyat. Right thinking has to be a descriptive word for us, not a part-time occupation, but this is who we are. Vivichyat. Here is your sutra for shloka 16. Unlearning is unleashing. Unlearning is unleashing. You take the rice, you have to take away that which is not intrinsic to the rice. We have to take ourselves. I have to unlearn habits like I need tea to be happy. I have to unlearn habits like I need to be recognized to serve. And when you start to unlearn, you start to unleash independent joy. Everyone's feeling Acharya Shankara? Okay. I'm going to take up one more shloka because the next two classes I have less time with you. So I'll move fast with 17 because it's an extension of 16. 12, 13, 14, describing the bodies. The bodies are that which are changing. Shloka 15, describing the sheets. The sheets are that which is covering. Obviously something more important is there then. 16 is saying we have to separate spirit from matter. Vivichyat. And 17 teaches us how to do that. How to invest in this development to make the spirit and matter separate. Sada sarvagato pyatma. Sada sarvagato pyatma. Na sarvatra vabhasate. Na sarvatra vabhasate. Buddhav eva vabhaseta. Buddhav eva vabhaseta. Swacheshu pratibimbavat. Swacheshu pratibimbavat. Together. Sada sarvagatopyatma na sarvatra vabhasate buddha veva vabhaseta swacheshu pratibimbavat. Acharya Shankara says Atma is sada, is perpetual. And he says Atma is sarvagataha, that which is gone everywhere. He's saying what we've been studying for 9 weeks. Sada relates to time, time relates to awareness. Sarvagata relates to space, space is existence. So Atma is existence awareness. Awareness is felt through time, existence is felt through space. And then in the next quarter, he says, na sarvatra. However, this existence awareness does not avabhasate, does not shine in all places. Now, in the same line, that's like me saying I'm happy and I'm unhappy. I like you, but I don't like you. Such contradiction in the same line, not even in different chapters, in the same line. Here you have to understand the second quarter to be poetic. The second quarter, Acharya Shankara, when he says not shine, he's bringing in poetry. And I'll give you a simple example of this. All of us are alive, but only some of us are living. Yes? When I say all of us are alive, what viewpoint am I taking? Biological. But only some of us are living. Now, what viewpoint am I taking? Some of us know our nature. Some of us are living our nature, correct? But technically, alive and living are the same. But you have to go deeper. So here, Acharya Shankara is saying, existence awareness is infinite, but in some places, this shines more clearly. Not from that place, but from our understanding, more clearly. So what is this place? This place is Buddha, in the Buddhi. That's where this avabhasate shines more brightly. What did I say the intellect is ever engaged in? What eye does the intellect engage in? Instructing. And when you keep on instructing, you eventually become bossy, correct? And a bossy person is always feeling ahankara. Aham karoti. I did, I do, and since I did and I do, you should do too. So bossiness comes from instructing. Instructing is where in the intellect, when the intellect is directed to the world. Such a buddhi where it's shining though, that intellect doesn't instruct, that intellect inquires. Same intellect, instead of being driven towards pleasure, possession, position, that intellect is being driven towards inquiry. Who am I? Am I happy? That intellect changes us from ahankara to Buddha. Buddha is a term in Sanatana Dharma. Gautama Buddha was known as Prince Siddhartha, a Hindu, part of a Hindu kingdom. Just to make it clear about where such terms come from. Many people now go to Orange Theory, correct? Orange Theory is a gym for the body, yes? Many people engage in some sort of gold chef, steel chef, iron chef, right? That's a gym for your cooking skills. But the most important gym you should go to, if gym is a place where exercise happens, it is such study groups, and this is the importance of Chinmaya mission, that equipment, that buddhi, is evolved from being a worldly buddhi to an out-of-world buddhi. Acharya Shankara completes this shloka by saying swacheshu pratibimbavat. Pratibimbavat means a reflection in that which is swacha, in that which is clear, that which is clean. If you look at your face in the reflection of water that's on a cement surface. You really can't see your face so clearly, but if you have a bowl of water and it's clean and it's still and you look at your face in nice lighting, you can see very clearly, right? When our mind is swachha. And how do you know you have a clean mind? You make self-development a priority. You love divinity. That's a pure mind. And the evolution of a pure mind is it unites with the intellect. So swachha, when the mind's priority is self-development, when the mind loves divinity, then what we will see is that I'm actually not someone who experiences dependent happiness. I am the source of happiness. Then you can start to see. You become a rishi then. And the sutra here is, polish the mind mirror. 3 sutras I gave you today. So the sutra for 17 is polish the mind mirror. And now as a reference point for all of you, actually every week you probably already chant this message of polish the mind mirror. Where do you chant it? Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja. You're taking the dust of the Guru's feet, and what are you doing with it? Nija Mana Mukuru Sudhari. See, I'm doing weird things with my hands, and you're like, oh yeah, we get it. My mind's mirror is being polished. Mana Mukuru Sudhari. Right? First part of Hanuman Chalisa, we chant, we close our eyes and fold our hands and Hanumanji, Hanumanji, Hanumanji. But what does it actually feel like? Prioritizing self-development, loving divinity. And Acharya Shankara is sharing the same. If you do have such a pure mind, you will feel independent joy. Polish the mind mirror. Oh.